Before we kick into today's show, I need to ask for some help. We're trying to get a panel approved for next year's South by Southwest Festival, in which we record a live episode of our weekly show, Marijuana Today. It takes just a few minutes to vote, but your time goes a long way in helping us make that happen. If you appreciate our work on any level and want to help out, just open up panelpicker.sxsw.com and search for the term Marijuana Today to find our panel to upvote. That's panelpicker, all one word, .sxsw.com, as in South by Southwest. Panelpicker.sxsw.com. Then search for Marijuana Today and drop us an upvote. And while you're there, also do a search for our pal Chris Crane, one of our hosts and regulars, who is pitching his own very cool panel. You can find his panel by searching for his name. That's Chris, spelled with a K, and Crane, Krane. This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery, as well as an option for the same for folks living in the Portland, Oregon area. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, August 9th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 773 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our week's top stories ends with news of a recently released study that found that the number of deaths attributable to opioid overdoses fell by 21% in states with legal adult use marijuana. More than 130 Americans each day die from opioid overdoses, so a 21% reduction is kind of a huge deal. The study was conducted by a team of researchers from the University of Massachusetts and Colorado State University and found that having legal adult use cannabis had an especially pronounced depressive effect on the use of synthetic opioids, which can be easier to overdose on. As Bruce Barcott over at Leafly reports, the study builds on previous studies that also found that legal adult use marijuana reduces opioid-related deaths. Open up Bruce's story for the full dive in and then pass this one around. Tom Angel picked up on a pair of interesting headlines out of Washington, D.C. yesterday as two government entities both released warnings to personnel that they need to avoid the use of any kind of marijuana or hemp product, including CBD. Warnings were issued by both NASA and the U.S. Navy yesterday about the dangers of marijuana and hemp, mostly as they relate to the threat of a job loss, or in the case of members of the military, other than honorable discharges. There is currently no way to test someone for CBD, so it's not clear how those policies would be enforced, but given how easily THC can sneak into CBD products, it's not unreasonable to expect some failed tests via that vector. This is a possibly bigger story worthy of some attention. Zip over to Tom's story on Forbes for more. David Downs has our last top story of the day and the week with a look at the unstable landscape that is marijuana testing in California, Washington, and Oregon. As David has it, there's a lot of good reasons to be skeptical when it comes to how much THC any given bit of legal marijuana actually has in it, given the rampant practice of lab shopping, where legal marijuana companies choose which lab they test their products with based on who will give them the best results. This is one of our industry's bigger issues to get right, so probably not a bad idea to have a good handle on this. David's story is worth the read. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery, as well as the same for folks living in the Portland, Oregon area. Pop over to ease.com and check out their ever-changing daily deals, which today puts the PAX Era Vaporizer into your hands for just $1 when purchased with any select PAX pod. Just use the discount code PARTY when you check out with those special daily deal items found over at ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E. Once you've loaded your cart up with PAX pods, you can keep scrolling to see all the other legal marijuana products up for order, all properly tested, packaged, and labeled, and all less than an hour away from being delivered to you, assuming, of course, that it's during legal delivery hours and that you live in a part of Oregon or California where Ease is active. Big thanks to everyone at Ease for the support that makes this show possible. All right, time for the Blitz. We have a story in Michigan that echoes our previous headline, as the Michigan Marijuana Regulatory Agency has issued an advisory that one of the state's 5 licensed testing facilities has mislabeled the amount of THC found in various products sold in Michigan dispensaries. There's not many details being released by the agency right now, with a spokesperson saying that their investigation is ongoing. Illinois-based multi-state cannabis operator Cresco Labs has received approval from the state of New York to acquire Gloucester Street Capital, which owns and controls one of New York's limited number of marijuana business licenses. That will give Cresco ownership of the Valley Agroceutical business, which has 4 dispensaries currently open, with 4 more set to start up within weeks. A new report out of the South American nation of Uruguay finds that the country's legal marijuana program has been limited by supply issues. There are just 2 licensed suppliers of legal marijuana in Uruguay, and as Marijuana Business Daily is reporting, neither has been able to provide as much cannabis to the market as agreed or as needed by the country's 47,000 or so registered users. Deb Borchardt at Green Market Report is reporting on the financial results just released by Canadian marijuana cultivator Cronos Group, which saw its net revenue jump 202% on the year to $10.2 million against last year's $3.4 million. The company saw its stock price dip on the news, though, as investors were not happy with the lower than expected amount of marijuana sold by Cronos Group. Deb's story has more here, along with the actual numbers released. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Growth Op has a story up about a series of public safety announcements just produced out of Canada that revolve around the idea that being barely high is still too high to drive. A premise that makes for some funny video bits, but one that I think might not resonate with experienced marijuana consumers, the majority of which report having driven after consumption sometime in the past, all without crashing or getting into any kind of accident. A long-running storyline here on the show. Sticking up to Canada, we have Canadian company Organigram Holdings being approved to move their public stock from the TSX Venture Exchange to the more prestigious Toronto Stock Exchange, where it will be listed under the ticker symbol OGI. And finally for today, we wrap up in Canada, where the Royal Canadian Mounted Police raided a British Columbia home after seizing 3 marijuana plants that were growing in the backyard. Under BC marijuana law, 3 cannabis plants can be grown at home, but they must be out of public view. In this case, an off-duty police officer spotted the 3 offending plants during a public gardens and arts tour, where residents opened up their backyard gardens for people to view and enjoy. This is just a good reminder that even in a country where marijuana is legal, police can still find a way to make your day worse than it should be. That just might be universal. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.